Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the wider world. Welcome to another Ministry of Health update on the national COVID-19 response. Our presenters this morning are the Honorable Terence Dialsing, Minister of Health, Dr. Miriam Abdul-Richards, Principal Medical Officer, Ministry of Health, and Dr. Anthony Parkinson, Director of Health at the Northwest Regional Health Authority. I am Al Alexander, Senior Corporate Communications Officer at the Ministry of Health and moderator for this morning's update. I now invite Dr. Abdul-Richards to begin with the latest clinical update, followed by a presentation on the current status of the parallel health care system. Good morning, Dr. Richards.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Al. Good morning to the Honourable Minister. Good morning, Dr. Parkinson. Good morning to members of the media and to our global audience who will be tuning in via social media and any other communication methods that we have at present. This morning, I will be doing a three-part presentation, which is a bit different from the usual presentations that I've been providing over the last few months. The presentation would consist of, firstly, the media release and clinical update, then a very short video sharing the experiences of nursing personnel in one of our COVID-19 hospitals within the parallel healthcare system, and also then a status update on the parallel healthcare system as of 8 a.m. today. The first part of my presentation will be the media release, and we refer to media release 861 as of 4 p.m. on Tuesday, September 28, 2021. An additional 174 new positive cases were reported in the last 24 hours. This takes the total active positive cases to 4,188. They are, at present, these cases are divided as follows: 3,656 persons in home isolation, 294 patients in hospital, and 64 patients in step-down facilities. Over the past 24 hours, there have been 2 additional deaths, both elderly males with comorbidities. This now takes the total number of deaths to 1,466, and we would like to extend our sincere condolences to the family members of the deceased. The Honourable Minister will provide an update on the vaccination status in his presentation and his discussion. Now, the next part of the presentation refers to or is about our hospital occupancy levels. And in order to conceptualize that presentation, I would like to share with you a video from the nursing personnel at one of our COVID-19 hospitals in the parallel healthcare system. I'd like now to ask you to share with me and provide your rapt attention as we look at this video. Thank you.
The Hot Zone.
My name is Dexter Saunders, and we're here at the Covert Hospital. We're actually on the floor of ICU HDU. We'd really prefer not to ever see you guys here. We'd prefer to see you guys on the outside, getting vaccinated, because here is serious business. People die here. It's not easy. Seeing and hearing mothers crying, fathers crying, even some of my colleagues. They call us the frontline workers. This is a wartime term. The war is being fought right here. And the only weapon we have in this war is vaccination.
Don't delay. Get vaccinated today.
So we just saw a video from one of our frontline workers at the Couva Medical and Multi-Training Facility. And I would like you to pay attention to his term. This is a war, and we are frontline workers fighting this war at our hospitals. Our only weapon at this point in time is vaccination. I'll now move to the clinical status update on the parallel healthcare system. All statistics are as of 8 a.m. on September 29, 2021. Just to summarize, the total occupancy of the parallel healthcare system is currently at 40%, and this occupancy level has been consistent since July 15, 2021. In Trinidad, the occupancy level is at 35%, while in Tobago it is at 44%. My colleague, the frontline nurse that just spoke out of Couva, indicated that there were many adverse situations, deaths, persons being ill. And this is really brought home by the occupancy levels in the intensive care unit, which manages our most ill patients. And the intensive care unit occupancy is currently at 92%, meaning 9 out of our 10 beds are filled. The high dependency unit occupancy, where we transition, is currently at 23%, and this is because patients are intermediate between the high dependency unit and there's a risk of them to go to the ICU. I'd like to focus on this graph, and this is a new graph that we would now be sharing at our presentations to demonstrate the actual number of patients in the 9 facilities in the parallel healthcare system. This graph shows the number of severely and critically ill patients. Of course, our parallel healthcare system consists of 16 facilities, but 9 of those are for severely and critically ill patients, most of them equipped with intensive care units and high dependency units. Now, if we look at the graph, we would notice that it extends from or about May 15th, which was the date on which the state of emergency was called as a measure to reduce the movement of personnel and so decrease the risk of COVID-19 transmission. The last date on the graph is actually 29th of September, which is today. We would notice, and this is in that straight line that you would see, or that vertical line, that the peak number of admissions or persons who are admitted, patients into the parallel healthcare system, was on May 23rd. This was just over 1 week beyond the date that the state of emergency was called. On that day, there were 472 severely and critically ill patients. The average number of cases over that week, and that is the daily number of cases, or as Dr. Hines speaks about, the rolling average, was 537. We then would focus on the second vertical line, and that shows the start of a plateau period. And it's important to note that a 53-day period was noted between the peak number of cases, that is 472, and the start of a plateau phase where there were 318 patients and a rolling average of approximately 170. The start of that plateau period, which we often refer to in our presentations, was July 15th. So just to reiterate, a 53-day period between the peak number of admissions and a rolling average of 537 cases per day to the start of a plateau of 318 cases on July 15th with a rolling average of 170. From that date, which is July 15th to present, we have noted that the number of cases, and that is the persons in the hospital, severely and critically ill patients, has fluctuated between 298 and 338 cases. The average really is about 318 with a plus or minus 20 patients. And the rolling average has been approximately 200 during this time period. I'd like the public to note that over the past 76 days, there has been no significant decline in the number of cases. So this plateau, or this lack of a significant decrease, is in spite of the state of emergency, which restricts our movement, and increasing vaccination uptakes by the population. I'd like to now refer to another interesting statistic and data that we have analyzed. Between the period July 22nd and September 16th, there have been 3,193 admissions in the parallel healthcare system hospitals. Now, this time period is similar to the time period that we would have had in the graph and where we would have noticed the plateau period starting. So 3,193 patients. When we analyzed the number of patients who have not been fully vaccinated in the parallel healthcare system, we have noticed that 95.5% of those persons admitted into the severely and critically ill hospitals are not fully vaccinated. I'd like to reiterate this point, and ladies and gentlemen, we have noticed that the vast majority of critically and severely ill patients, that is 95.5%, are not fully vaccinated. These are the patients that my colleague, the frontline nurse, referred to. These are the patients that are likely to clinically decompensate, that is, become more ill. So they are the patients who will move from or risk of moving from a ward level care to a high dependency unit care to the intensive care unit. These are the patients that require ventilators, dialysis. And I'd like to remind everyone that we continue to see a high occupancy level. And despite the resilience of the parallel healthcare system, so far, the resources, human resources, ventilators, dialysis machines, are finite. They are limited. And we would like to preserve the resilience of the parallel healthcare system to save lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the only way to prevent yourself, your family, your friends, and your co-workers from becoming an admission into one of our 9 hospitals in the parallel healthcare system is vaccination. We ask you and we appreciate your continued compliance with the public health regulations, the 3 W's, but now we also appeal to you to please don't delay, vaccinate today. Thank you very much for your attention during this presentation, and I now pass back to my colleague Al.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richards. Are you living with an NCD and still concerned about taking the COVID-19 vaccine? Or are you worried about the vaccine's side effects? Here to address these concerns and more is Dr. Anthony Parkinson. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Al and Dr. Richards. It's my pleasure to be here again before you as a nation. What we heard just now in that little clip, that nurse was saying that we are in a war. We are still in this war. The problem is the front line is shifting. The front line is no longer in the hospitals. The front line is coming to a house near you, a place near you. Actually, it's knocking on your door. The front line is now where you are. This Delta virus is spreading so fast. It is twice as transmissible. I mean, it's spread twice as fast. It's easier to spread. It doesn't take much for it to spread. So it's amongst us. It's walking amongst us. It's like we are living in enemy-occupied territory. Remember when, those of us who can remember this far, when the Nazi army invaded France, they took over everything. And what they had to do, they had to develop resistance fighters. What we want to do is to develop resistant fighters. And resistant fighters are those who take the vaccines, because you now have a resistance against this virus that is now invading us. It's all over the place. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson says this virus is so prevalent now that every citizen is going to face it. One time or another, coming pretty soon, everyone is going to face it. Thing is, are you going to face it on your own and say, I am man enough or woman enough, I could face it, I could handle it? Or are you going to face it with a vaccine on board? Let's just recap something here. Our bodies are like a house, a well-fortified house. Have walls, good gates, strong burglar-proof dogs, burglar-proof windows. Have a dog running around the yard, preferably a Rottweiler or whatever. All right? We have all this wonderful house. But unfortunately, the virus wants, like an old, as I say in Trinidad, old dirty thief, want to come in and take what you have. He doesn't care about your life, just want what you have, what makes you live. Now, in good health, your house is nice and strong. But as you get older, older house, things fall into disrepair. This thief, the virus is able to see that and tries to take advantage of that. And next thing too, you have other ailments like diabetes mellitus. That's like a breakdown in the wall. Or the gate not working properly, the gate wide open on one hinge. You have hypertension. Oh, that's another structural feature. The front door locking working properly. Oh, you have heart disease. Oh my goodness. The windows have no burglar proofing. You have lung disease. Oh my goodness. There is no perimeter door, no dog in the yard. Completely open. You have kidney disease. Oh my, well, I don't know what else to say. More and more things are damaging your structure of your house. So the thief can get in very easily now. Now, what you have to do is to try and build back up your health. But I wish you luck. You cannot build back up your health in an instant. You can't build back up your health in a few weeks. It's going to take a while. I want to encourage everybody, get healthy. Take your medications for your pressure. Take your medications for your sugar. Watch what you eat. Follow the doctor's orders. But it's going to make you stronger, but not strong enough. You cannot get back the youth. You cannot get back to full protection. So what can you do about it? Well, if you have a good guard dog, guard in an old house, people are not going to come and rob you, because this guard dog will bite first, ask questions later. And this guard dog, if it's trained to recognize thief, fantastic. Thief could think twice. The vaccine is going to act like that. It's going to act like a guard dog, a trained dog that's in your yard, right? It's going to see the thief, understand who the thief is, because it knows it's pre-programmed to know the thief ways. That's what a vaccine does. It makes your immune system give it ability to recognize the intruder and to bite first, ask questions later. But not only that, it calls for help. In this case now, with the vaccine, help knows where to come. Help knows your address. It's your body. And help descends like wildfire on this vaccine. This vaccine comes down like wildfire, actually, onto this virus. So when you have your vaccine on board, it's like putting a guard dog in your house. Your house may be run down, fine. Trying to keep it upright as much as possible, but you have a guard dog now. And that guard dog is going to recognize and fight to the end and call attention to the neighbors around. So police will come, army will come. Hey, they'll probably have a helicopter circle in your house. That is the security we want. So diseases like hypertension, asthma, diabetes, kidney disease. We won't call obesity a disease, but unfortunately obesity is one of the what they call the comorbidities that increases the chance of you having a bad time with the COVID. So all these things help to, as it were, break down your defenses, break down your walls of your house. You need extra help, and that's what the vaccine is here for. So the vaccine is brought here especially for the vulnerable, those who have any form of comorbid disease, which is hypertension, heart problems, kidney problems, cancer. Cancer is like you already have an invader. Don't invite the next one. They love to come in and make a home with you. And when it invades you, the virus, like good drug people, they come in, invade a house, take over the house, and they start to sell drugs from the house. Well, the virus comes and multiplies inside of you, and then you now become as a dispenser of the virus to the whole neighborhood. So, one of the major ways to fight this, because the war has come to your doorstep, is to get vaccinated. Now, there's another interesting thing that we heard about. A certain star, around the corner from us, NM, I'm not saying anymore, had a concern of a certain citizen of Trinidad and Tobago that he had a certain problem, allegedly from taking the vaccine. His scrotal sac or his testicles got enlarged. Now, enlarged testicles is a problem. We call it orchitis in medicine. Right? It can be caused by viruses. Yes, viruses. Mumps virus could cause it. Caused by viruses and bacterial infection. We have not found anywhere in the world that the vaccine could cause it. Just viruses and bacterial infections. So, if your testicles do increase in size, get it checked quickly. Something else. You may be able to save it if you could get the right medication. But sometimes the testicles area, that whole sac, could swell for many other reasons. Water filling up. A hernia could make it look like if it's getting swollen as well. Many things. A cancer could be there as well. Whatever it is, you got to get it treated. So that person, I hope you got treatment. The other thing is erectile dysfunction. Studies have now shown that the coronavirus attacks the blood vessels going to the penis. It attacks it. it hinders the blood flow. And if you hinder the blood flow to the penis, you're going to have a hard time becoming an upright citizen, as it were, at the right time. So, it has been shown if you have any heart problems, all right, before, the first thing to come to your attention is that there's a problem standing up. You know what I mean? That's like a early warning sign. If you have any problems like that, check your doctor. It could be a warning of something worse going on in your heart, work on your heart. You could die. So if you have erectile dysfunction, go check your doctor. Psychological problems could cause it to have problems with it, and also just being unwell. But the vaccine, no, the vaccine doesn't cause it. So there was a study done in Italy that showed, and the name of the study is Mask Up to Keep It Up. Not my words, That's Italians say that. All right, mask up to keep it up. What they found out, you were almost 6 to 8 times more likely to get erectile dysfunction if you get COVID. Yes, as part of the long COVID syndrome, up to 30% of people who get the COVID virus infection have long COVID symptoms afterwards. Erectile dysfunction is one of them. So they are saying mask up to keep it up. What we are saying now, vaccinate, you finish it. All right? So my appeal now is, especially the people who are having who have all these other ailments. The vaccine is for you, especially for you. We have bought it, and we, as the Ministry of Health has tried to do, we want to make you a priority number one. You have to get it as early as possible. Get that guard dog in your yard. Protect yourself. The virus is coming to knock at your door. You can't hide from it. It's here. The amount of lockdown or isolation is not going to protect you from it. It's coming. It's coming soon to a place near you. Be prepared. Stay in good health, but be prepared. Get vaccinated. So I'd like to hand over to Al. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Dr. Parkinson. I now hand you over to the Honorable Terence Yal Singh, Minister of Health, who will speak on the continued progress of our national COVID-19 vaccination campaign.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Al. Good morning to Dr. Richards. Good morning to Dr. Parkinson, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and to all the good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, wherever you are this morning. It is my pleasant duty this morning to bring you up to date on the vaccination program. I will start with the numbers. So between yesterday and Monday, we saw about a 50% increase in the uptake at the first dose level. Monday 27th, across the 3 vaccines that are up for first dose of a 2-dose regime, Sinopharm, AstraZeneca, and Pfizer. On Monday, we would have done 2,864 first doses. Yesterday, 2,887. This is about a 50% increase from a very low level last week. So whilst we are happy for a 50% increase, it's a 50% increase from a low level last week of roughly 1,800. The last time we saw figures like 2008 consistently was around Monday, 13th of September, where we did 2,988, and then it started to drop. The week before that, Monday, 6 September, it was 4,819, Tuesday, 7 September, 4,467. So we are grateful for this increase. Thank the population for coming out, but it's a 50% increase from a low number. The other increase we saw was with the Johnson & Johnson. We are now, for this week, for 2 days, averaging between 700 and 800. We have never seen these figures for Johnson & Johnson. So between Johnson & Johnson, one shot and done, and the other 3, which are the 2-dose regimes, you are seeing an increase of about 1,000, 1,200 for 2 consecutive days. Let us hope that this is the beginning of a pattern, but it's a pattern that we would like to see escalate up to about 2,000 shots per day. Let me give you some disaggregated figures. So the total number of persons with 1 shot so far, 572,957 persons. which represents 40.9 of the total population. Number of persons with a second shot or the Johnson & Johnson one shot and done on their way to being fully vaccinated is 493,367, which is 35.2% of the population. Some more details on figures. As you know, we started the Pfizer drive for the 12 to 18 cohort. To date, 41,207 minors between the ages of 12 to 18 have gotten their first shot, which represents about 45.5% of that school-age population, and 28,275 of that 41,000 have actually received their second dose. So as far as fully vaccinated 12 to 18-year-olds, 28,275 are on their way to being fully vaccinated. Remember, to be considered fully vaccinated, you must have had your second shot or your final shot and wait 2 weeks after that period. So that is what those figures show. The pregnant population, 609 pregnant women have already accessed their first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, and 262 of that 609 have actually accessed their second dose. So those are some disaggregated figures for us to know where we are, where we have come from, and where we ought to be going. So just to recap before I get into my slides, we saw a 50% increase, which is good, but it's a 50% increase from a very low base. But we need to get it up even further and further. It is now my pleasure to bring you up to date on how we will be reconfiguring our vaccination drives starting from tomorrow. So if I could have the first slide, please. So from tomorrow, you would recall we started issuing the Pfizer vaccines at certain sites for only minors, 12 to 18. And then we extended Pfizer to adults. From tomorrow, from Thursday 30th, all mass vaccination sites and all drive-through vaccination sites will now be offering the following 3 COVID-19 vaccines. Sinopharm, which is a 2-dose vaccine, Pfizer for anybody 12 and over, and Johnson & Johnson 1 shot and done. So that starts from tomorrow. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, if possible. Right. These are the mass vaccination sites. We have 15 mass vaccination sites and drive-thrus throughout the country. The Paddock at Queen's Park, UTT Shogunas, Costa El Dorado, Larry Gomes Stadium, National Racket Center, Tacarigua, Sangre Grande Civic Center, Mayaro Sport Facility, Northeastern Community Center, Duranta Gardens, Hansrad Sumeru Singh Multipurpose Complex, Rio Claro, Mayaro Civic Center, which is only until tomorrow, Pinal Power Gen until 29th October, Sapa Mason Hall Community Center. And Tobago will also have some other sites. The drive-through locations at this time, Hazley Crawford Stadium, Frankie Boudram Wallerfield International Raceway. So we have 15 mass vaccination sites, including drive-thrus where you can go. Next slide, please. Just to remind the population, because maybe the population may have forgotten this, vaccines are also available at all health centers, 109 health centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So there is no need to exert yourself too much looking for a mass vaccination site or a drive-through. At the health centers, the Sinopharm vaccine is available at all health centers, as they have always been, and the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines are all available. 1 shot and done. The Johnson & Johnson seems to be catching on now. It's available at all health centers as they have always been. So what we are trying to do is to remind the population so we could smooth out demand. You have 109 health centers and you have 15 mass vaccination sites. That's a good number of sites. So you don't have to necessarily go to a mass vac site. You have 109 health centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Next slide, please. Right. This is important. AstraZeneca, we are going to, let's go to the next slide and then we'll come back. Yes. The last day for AstraZeneca is going to be tomorrow, Thursday, 30th September. Why? Because the AstraZeneca vaccines have an expiry date of between October and November of this year. So we have to allow for the 6 to 8 week period to elapse between when you get your first dose and your second dose. So we will be stopping the administration of AstraZeneca first dose from tomorrow. The AstraZeneca numbers have been very, very low. Some days you do none, some days you do 20, some days you do 11, some days you do 9. But we do have 28,000 roughly second doses to administer, and we'll be keeping doses for persons who have to get their second dose of AstraZeneca. So I want to let those 28,000 persons who have to get AstraZeneca to know we have ring-fenced your second doses. Turn up for it now, and if you go back now to the slide before, turn up for it now for your second doses at these locations when your time is due. In the north, the Paddock Queen's Park Savannah, Central UTT Campus, South Sapa, East National Rocket Center, Mayaro Sport Facility, Sangre Grande, and Tobago so far are the Scarborough Health Center. So these sites will be dedicated to persons who have to get their second dose of AstraZeneca after 6 to 8 weeks receiving their first dose sometime around August or maybe July. So what we are trying to do now is reminding the population of several things. One, vaccines are available at all health centers. 109. You can get the Sinopharm vaccine, which has consistently been well received. You can get the Johnson & Johnson one shot and done at all 109 health centers. At the 14 sites, just to recap, or 15 sites, you're going to have all 3 vaccines available as we start to wean off first dose of AstraZeneca. So that is my vaccine update this morning. Thank you very much, Al, and we could go into questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister. Up next is the question and answer segment, and we want to remind our representatives to state your name and the name of the media house that you represent before asking no more than 2 brief questions. Identify the panelists to whom you wish to address each question, and if time permits, we will accommodate a second round of questions. We go to Tobago, Radio Tamron, for our first 2 questions. Good morning. Morning, Radio Tamron. Okay, seems as if we have some challenges there, so we will...
Yes, are you hearing me now?
Okay, morning.
Right. My 2 questions, first, today is World Heart Day. Any special message to the public on that occasion, and what is the status of heart ailments or issues in the country, and how has this heart complaints been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic? And my second question, this is one from the public. In the UK, unlimited amounts of rapid tests have been given out free of charge to persons wishing to test themselves at home. This way, persons can make more informed decisions. Is the government considering making these available, allowing pharmaceutical companies to sell them?
Thank you. So
Those are my two
I'll take
questions.
a part of the first question, then Dr. Parkinson will go into details. Yes, today is International Heart Day, and from the beginning of this pandemic and even before, we have stated that Trinidad and Tobago is one of the unhealthiest places in the Caribbean. We are the center for non-communicable diseases. That is absolutely no secret. As a matter of fact, the Patrick Manning administration had raised the issue at the United Nations um, way back when. Yes, and you would have seen the impact, my friend, on the early days when, and even still, when one of the major causes of death in persons with COVID-19 is in fact comorbidities linked to not only diabetes and hypertension as an NCD, but also to cardiac disease. And as Dr. Parkinson says, you have to be healthy. On the issue of rapid tests, any company that wants to sell rapid tests, it's a very simple procedure. Just have your tests validated through Chemistry, Food and Drugs, have it approved as a device, and you can offer it for sale. What we don't want are unvalidated test kits being offered for sale that gives you false negatives, especially because a false negative, especially with the Delta variant, is a recipe for disaster, because you will have this person with a false negative thinking that they are negative and spreading the virus. So the Delta variant continues to throw up all sorts of challenges, right? So I will put you on to Dr. Parkinson, who could speak a little bit more on cardiac disease.
Okay, thank you for that question. Cardiac disease in this country is, as you know, is rampant. We have interesting mix of gene pools coming on here in the Caribbean, especially in Trinidad. One side has hypertension, other side has diabetes, and put them together, we almost have the perfect storm. But as a health system, we are trying to adapt and get our hands around this thing and to get this thing under control. Now, COVID can cause further damage to the heart. As you heard about myocarditis, there's an inflammation in the heart, pericarditis, which is actually inflammation around the heart. Doesn't matter where you get inflammation, you have inflammation in the heart. The heart, which is a muscle that beats all the time, can't rest. There's no rest for the heart. It must beat, but you don't want to aggravate it any further. So COVID can make it worse. However, we talked about, well, you can't really put in a fantastic house right now because you have a damaged heart. The vaccine is going to help it from getting worse, prevent you from allowing the virus to come in and destroy it even further. Now, throughout the world, the whole world has been concentrated on COVID all the time. COVID is endemic. We now have to begin to open back up our systems because we are not looking at all the other diseases that are being affected as well. But we are trying now to open up as best as we can, COVID notwithstanding, to look after all the other diseases that are out there. You know, clinics are small, but we need to reach out to people. We need to reach out to people to make sure we catch diseases before they get worse, before they go over the tipping point. Not because of COVID, but because you have a disease. We need to treat it. We need to control it as best as you need to control it. But we, as from the health system, work together with you to control it. So I'm kind of glad that we have this International Day of heart disease. It gets us to focus on this issue. All right. I know we have probably a day for every disease now, whatever. But right now we could focus on it. Heart disease. If you have any heart disease, let's check it out. And just as I said, Joey, if you have any erectile dysfunction right now and you're healthy, check your doctor. It could be the early warning signs of heart disease. I'm making a joke about that. It's a very important thing. Check your doctor. It could be an early warning sign of heart disease. All right? You don't want to die prematurely. Get yourself checked out.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parkinson. And Minister, I know the theme for this year is Use Heart to Connect. We now go to I-95.5 for your two questions. Good morning.
Good morning to everyone there with Field Tuner I-95.5. Minister Dial Singh, I believe I can send my two questions to your direction today. The first really is a spin-off from a comment by Dr. Hines at Monday's pressure to a question as it pertains to the way we classify COVID deaths. Why are we classifying COVID deaths the way we are, as opposed to only those persons who would have met their demise directly as a result of COVID? And my second question, as it pertains to safe zones and persons who may have a perfectly legitimate reason to not take a vaccine, what's going to happen to them? Are they going to be excluded from these safe zones, or will provisions be made to have them accommodated?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. So on the issue of classification of COVID deaths, I would like to refer to both the comments of the Chief Medical Officer and Dr. Hines. There is nothing more useful that I could add to it. They have spoken to the classification methodology from day one. On the safe zones thing, yes, that is something. How can people possibly opt out? The Attorney General is working on all those issues diligently behind the scenes, and as soon as we have a concrete position, we will communicate that to the public. But what I can say is that the safe zones concept is a concept that is meeting with a lot of favor with the business community, and especially with those industries that are poised to open: casinos, betting shops, restaurants, gyms and bars, and so on. On all those sectors of the economy, all those types of businesses have indicated to us that their employee base is close to 90 to 100% fully vaccinated. That is what they have indicated to us. I've spoken personally to people in the casino industry, food and beverage, and Mr. Munisa, who is the president of the Bar Owners Association. So the safe zone concept seems poised for good acceptance by those members of the various industries, and we are doing all the work at the background, and hopefully when we have all those things ironed out, those fine details, they will be communicated. Thank you very much for your question, sir.
And thank you, Minister. We quickly move to IETV for your questions.
Good morning, Bina. Here's IETV News. I have two quick questions. My first one would go to Dr. Richards. Dr. Richards, has preparation begun for a potential increase in COVID-19 cases as a result of the Delta spread? And my second question would go to the Minister of Health. Minister, do you have any expectations from the Minister of Finance in his budget 2022 presentation come Monday to further assist in the COVID-19 pandemic? Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll take the second question first. So the Minister of Finance, COVID notwithstanding, has always financed the Ministry of Health. The COVID response, as I indicated at a press conference a couple of weeks ago, from the start of the response about a month ago, has cost the taxpayer of this country $480 million. $480 million. And neither side of the health system, which is the normal side, where you get your normal goods and services, maternity, everything, plus the parallel, both sides have been well financed. And I have no doubt that the Minister of Finance will continue to see health as a priority moving forward, as he has done consistently since 2015.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for that question, which centered around Delta preparedness. And I'd like to stress that the Ministry of Health has been engaged in activities to increase the number of hospital beds, especially within the intensive care unit and the high dependency unit. Now, from our statistics that we've been collating,
Imagine not being able to breathe. Doc, I can't breathe. I can't take a full breath. And this is very important. Imagine not being able to breathe for a prolonged period of time, despite high oxygen requirements.
I find it's very disheartening to come to work and see a lot of my patients from the day before or 2 days before not there again.
I am pleading with you to avoid becoming an AGU and ICU patient. Please don't delay. Vaccinate today.
The Hot Zone.
My name is Dexter Saunders, and we're here at the Covert Hospital. We're actually on the floor of ICU HDU. We'd really prefer not to ever see you guys here. We'd prefer to see you guys on the outside, getting vaccinated, because here is serious business. People die here. It's not easy. Seeing and hearing mothers crying, fathers crying, even some of my colleagues. They call us the frontline workers. This is a wartime term. The war is being fought right here. And the only weapon we have in this war is vaccination.
Don't delay. Get vaccinated today.
We do apologize for that short break in transmission, so I hand you back over to Dr. Richards to continue the response to that question. Dr. Richards.
Thank you everyone for your patience with that technical difficulty, which we tried to remedy very quickly. So this is an important concern that was raised, and it centered around the preparedness of the parallel healthcare system and the entire health sector for the Delta variant and the impending increase in the number of cases. Now, the Ministry of Health continues to do all in its part to save lives from COVID and also non-COVID causes. And we have been actively preparing for the Delta variant even prior to the arrival in Trinidad and Tobago. We have centered our preparation around an increasing number of intensive care unit beds. And through a phased approach, we intend to increase the number of intensive care unit beds by approximately 50 in Trinidad and Tobago. Given the number of pediatric cases that we have noted, we have also increased and allocated resources for the ICU and HDU level for pediatric cases as well as maternity cases. So the Ministry of Health is trying our very best with limited resources, and I'd like to remind everyone that this is the same staff. We may be adding ventilators, we may be adding dialysis machines, but these resources are limited. We need you to play your part to prevent yourself and your loved ones from becoming an admission into the hospital and an ICU patient. And the only way forward in this is with vaccination. I would like to remind everyone yet again that 95.5% of the 3,173 patients that would have been hospitalized between July 15th and July 22nd and September 16th are not fully vaccinated. Please vaccinate and don't delay and prevent yourself from being admitted into a hospital in the parallel healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Richards. We quickly go to Newsday for your two questions. Good morning.
Hello and good morning, everyone. Shane Superville from the Trinidad and Tobago Newsday newspaper here. I have two really quick questions. Both of them can be answered by the Minister of Health. The first one, a situation would have been brought to our attention recently where a woman claimed that she received a first dose of AstraZeneca and a second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine. She later brought it to the attention of the staff at the vaccination site where she would have gotten the doses. They acknowledged that they made a mistake, but yet they were not able to get any instructions to administer another dose. Just wanted to know if this has been brought to the ministry, and if that's the case, what is the update on this case?
So, as we always advise, if you send the person's name and contact number to us offline, we can certainly look into it. It sounds to be a serious claim, but without the person's name and phone number, Shane, if you could send it to us, we will certainly look into it, and then we could be able to treat with that patient in a confidential manner and resolve the issue.
Thank you very much, Minister. AZP News, we are ready for your two questions. Good morning.
Good morning, Private Harry, AZPnews.com. I wanted to talk about a pet subject of the minister. Minister, the influenza vaccine, the flu season starts next month from October to May. Is the ministry going to continue with giving out these vaccines? And can you tell me how many they will buy? And would it be given out in tandem with the COVID-19 vaccine? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prior. This takes me back with sweet memories to last year when we were having this discussion about what is the flu season and so on. Thank you. Yes. So let's go back. In around January or February of any calendar year, so let's take this calendar year of 2021. By January, February of any calendar year, the scientists and the flu vaccine manufacturing companies, based on the previous flu season's virus circulating, attempt to make predictions on how the upcoming flu season is going to look like. In other words, they try to predict how the virus will change or mutate. Based on that, they start to formulate their vaccines by around May of the calendar year. By May of the calendar year, countries that are purchasing flu vaccines through the PAHO mechanism are supposed to express their interest in quantities. We expressed our interest for 100,000 doses of influenza vaccines to be delivered in Trinidad in 2 tranches of 50,000 each. The first tranche is tentatively supposed to be here sometime in October. We normally get our vaccines through PAHO sometime in October because our flu season runs from October of any year, so from October 2021 to May of the following year. So this year's flu season will run from October 2021 to May 2022. The CMO and the epidemiologists, and I'm glad you raised this issue, because they will determine the time frame between receiving a COVID vaccine and receiving a flu vaccine. You may not be able to get it on the same day or the same week. So you have touched on a very important issue. So it is even more incumbent to be vaccinated now, especially for those who want to be vaccinated with their influenza vaccine, right? So as usual, we start our public education campaign when we know the vaccines are coming in, but they normally come in sometime around October. Sometimes they are delayed until November. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Minister. We quickly move to CNC3 for your 2 questions. Good morning. Guardian Media Limited, morning.
Hi,
okay.
Sorry, Sandy Gray from, you hearing me?
Yes,
Sandy
I
Gray
am.
from Guardian Media. Well, CNC3. I really just wanted to get clarity on things that we use so much in the press conference. Can we confirm what we consider a breakthrough case of COVID-19? Is it just when a fully vaccinated person gets sick, or is it when a fully vaccinated person gets seriously ill and have to be treated? My second question is, what do you consider a fully vaccinated person? Is it when that person has received either of one dose or the second or 2 weeks regime plus the 2 weeks, or is it when they just received the 2 weeks? Because I feel like we've been using the terms, and there seems to be some confusion or lack of clarity in how they're thank you.
Okay, so I will start the discussion and then the doctors will come in. As we have said consistently, a fully vaccinated person is a person who has received either 2 shots of a 2-dose regime and 2 weeks after their second shot has elapsed. That is considered fully vaccinated, and we say this in our press releases every day. In the case of the Johnson & Johnson 1 shot, 2 weeks after receiving your one shot of Johnson & Johnson, 2 weeks after you are considered to be fully vaccinated. So I welcome the chance to reiterate that, and I now hand you over to the doctors to take the more technical aspects.
So, Minister, thank you very much for emphasizing the concepts around what a fully vaccinated person would be. I'd just like to remind all members of the population that the Ministry of Health does have on its website a release indicating the combinations of vaccines that are considered fully vaccinated, and that persons are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after either the second dose of a dual dose combination, with the time span being relevant to the particular vaccine, whether it's 3 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, which of course is dependent on the type of vaccine, and also that 2-week period. Again, for the Johnson & Johnson, this is a single dose regime, so you are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after the dose of Johnson & Johnson. I'll now hand over to Dr. Parkinson for the response to the question on breakthrough infections.
Hi. So, breakthrough infections. Well, first of all, let's go back to what the vaccine promises to do. The vaccine never promises that you will not get the virus. Ooh, that's interesting to say. However, what it promises is that if you do get the virus, you're not going to get severely ill, and it's a very low chance for that. And also, if you have a lower chance of succumbing to the disease. So breakthrough, as it were, is for those people who have it becoming serious and you need to be hospitalized as such. The vaccines are designed to try and keep you out of the hospital, and they do a very good job at that. But even up to today, a colleague of mine called me on the phone. She got her vaccines. She's fully vaccinated. 2 weeks has passed, and she got the virus, and she's panicking. So I said, what is wrong? Well, I'm a bit overweight. Okay, what else is wrong? Well, I don't know. You have any symptoms? No, since Sunday, minor sore throat. That wouldn't be considered as a breakthrough, because we expect that. You can't get the mild virus. It's coming to everyone. But if it ends up that you have to be in a hospital, get serious, or even worse yet, in the ICU, that will be considered as breakthrough. It has gone beyond what the vaccine manufacturers have promised to deliver. So back to you, Al.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Parkinson. TV6, we are ready for your questions.
Hi, good morning. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News. Both of my questions are for the minister. Persons who have been vaccinated abroad are inquiring as to how they could have their vaccination status legitimized here, given that they would not have had the card and they got a QR code. Second question is related to that. If I could have an update on the digitization process, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renessa. Yeah. So anybody vaccinated abroad could have their vaccination status legitimized in Trinidad and Tobago by going to the county medical officers of health or contacting the Ministry of Health, the EPI division. We will take your data and put you into our database. So that is how we could do it. Right. With the digitization now, you would have heard Minister Young say last week, Thursday, I believe, at the Honorable Prime Minister's press conference, that digitization process is being undertaken in tandem with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Ministry of Digital Transformation. At that press conference, Minister Young did indicate that the process will take between 6 to 8 weeks. It is ongoing. A lot of data entry is taking place, and hopefully within the 6 to 8 week time frame, we could have some degree of rollout. But the data entry on the back end, we at the Ministry of Health have to do the hard, heavy lifting at the back end with the data entry. And that is why we are calling some persons to verify data which we think may be incomplete, and also as a spot check, you want to verify a certain percentage of your data to make sure your data is as robust as possible. So you may be getting calls. This is just to verify your data. Sometimes names are spelled incorrectly, ID card numbers are incorrect, and so on. So it's a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes, and that process is ongoing. Thank you very much, Renessa.
Thank you, Minister. We go to 103 FM. We're ready for your questions.
Hi, good day to everyone. Rai Rikomas from 103.1 FM. My question is to Minister Dial Singh. After tomorrow, related to the AstraZeneca vaccines, after all of the outstanding second doses are given out and so on, how many vaccines are expected to be left over, and what will be the future for those expiring shots? Thank you.
Thank you. So as we indicated about a month ago, in middle of August, when we looked into the future of the rollout of AstraZeneca, I would have indicated to the country that the Prime Minister was alerted to this, and he gave both myself and the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs the go-ahead to use diplomatic channels to find donee countries to receive these vaccines. The Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and also through PAHO are actively engaged in looking for these donee countries. As I indicated at the start of the press conference, we are keeping roughly about 28,000 doses for citizens or persons who have received their first dose and who are going to be guaranteed their second dose. I will have to check the actual stock count to find out what number of vaccines we have left over to be donated. But as I said, that is being handled through the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and through PAHO, through the COVAX system. But the takeaway point is that anyone who has received a first dose of AstraZeneca, I want to reassure you once again, we have ring-fenced 28,000, but we have ring-fenced 30,000. We just given ourselves a little margin of error of 2,000. We have ring-fenced those doses, so don't worry. We have your back on this, and you will receive your second shot of AstraZeneca whenever it is due. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, anyone who wants to come and get their AstraZeneca today or tomorrow, please feel free to come in and get your first dose at the locations highlighted. We go to CL Communications. We're ready.
Hi, good morning. Natalie Singh, Caribbean Lifestyle Communications. If I understand clearly, Minister just said that what is causing the Minister just said that there's an uptake or 50% increase in vaccination uptake. I was just wondering what is causing the sudden uptake in those vaccines? That's my first question. My second question is, what is the uptake of vaccines by the senior citizens in Trinidad? Thanks.
Thank you very much. So the cause for the uptake, it's 2 days. We haven't really questioned persons, but the anecdotal evidence coming to us is that these are possibly that last cohort of workers who want to operate in the safe zone. As I said, many of those industries would have told us that their vaccination rate is about 90 to 100%. So some people are down to about 70, 80. So it could be some employees. It could be patrons who want to be able to go to cinemas and be able to entertain themselves. And you see, this is where the safe zone concept is such a good concept. And if we get higher vaccine uptake due to the safe zone concept, think about not only the economic benefit and the ability for people to work and put food on the table, but at these press conferences, we always talk about that hidden thing about the mental side of it. Think about how these safe zones could have a very positive mental benefit for the country. People are able to go out, socialize, entertain themselves. So the safe zone context is possibly driving it, and that is to be welcomed, not only from a business perspective, employment perspective, but it will give the country a chance to exhale and breathe. So I really want to congratulate the Honorable Prime Minister for launching that safe zone concept. And let us get behind it, get vaccinated, even though the uptake, as I said, was 50%, but 50% from a low level last week. Let's get it up. Let's just get vaccinated at this point in time so that this country and all countries around the world can go back to some degree of normalcy. We have Christmas coming up. Won't it be nice to go paranging house to house again and visit friends and family? The other question about the elderly, when we started the vaccination drive, especially under the COVAX facility with the AstraZeneca, doses were ring-fenced for the elderly and healthcare workers. We estimate that about 150,000 elderly over the age of 60, thereabouts, have been vaccinated. Today, that's the kind of rough figure we are looking at. So that was a priority group in the early days of the vaccination program, if you would recall. The elderly with comorbidities and healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, and so on. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. We close with Power 102. Questions from Power 102. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sparkle McIntosh, Power 102 Digital. Both of my questions are for Minister Dayal Singh. Minister, with the budget presentation due on Monday, what additional resources would the Ministry of Health be requesting to aid in the fight against COVID-19? Also, will funds continue to be allocated to the parallel healthcare system since additional resources have been requested since the last budget allocation? Thank you.
Thank you. So that question was, well, okay, so I'll go over the answer that I gave earlier. Health has always been a priority item for the government and for any budget presentation, regardless of which government is in office. Since 2015, when I became Minister of Health, and since this government has been in office, health has always been allocated in about $6 billion across the board. That has not been significantly affected. The $480 million spent so far has been allocated to us. The Minister of Finance has never, ever withheld funding for the parallel healthcare system. We have made our proposals, as we do every year, and so far, God willing, if we can get more and more people vaccinated, it can have a positive effect not only on the hospital numbers, but on the amount of money we expend on the parallel healthcare system. So there is no need to fear about funding. The funding will be made available, whether it's for pharmaceuticals, ventilators, and don't forget we also fund the normal healthcare system. We fund dialysis, cardiac procedures, and so on. We fund the maternity hospitals. We fund everything in the normal healthcare system, right? So I am comfortable that health, as it has always been, will be prioritized to receive what it needs to carry out this fight for COVID-19.
Thank you, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for our question and answer segment today. And in closing, we ask that you please continue to protect yourself and your loved ones. Remember, the COVID-19 vaccines are approved by the World Health Organization. They are proven and time again to be safe, effective, and they are free and available and accessible all over all 109 locations. No appointment necessary. These vaccines are available in 5 regional health authorities at all 109 public health centers, in addition to the advertised mass vaccination sites. If you haven't received your COVID-19 vaccination as yet, please get yours now. Don't delay, vaccinate today. Be safe and goodbye for now.
The Hot Zone.
My name is Dexter Saunders, and we're here at the Covert Hospital. We're actually on the floor of ICU HDU. We'd really prefer not to ever see you guys here. We'd prefer to see you guys on the outside, getting vaccinated, because here is serious business. People die here. It's not easy. Seeing and hearing mothers crying, fathers crying, even some of my colleagues. They call us the frontline workers. This is a wartime term. The war is being fought right here. And the only weapon we have